Tesla's Model 3 has been around for 5 years now, since its initial launch in 2017. The vehicle has remained relatively the same, at least from the consumer's perspective, with some minor changes throughout the years, such as adopting features like the heat pump introduced in the Model Y, which eventually made their way throughout Tesla's lineup. However, there are now leaks of a revamped version of the Model 3 that's set to hit the market in late 2023. Now, the Model 3 has actually been selling quite well, as one of the top-selling electric vehicles in the world, only to be surpassed by Tesla's Model Y crossover. Elon Musk expects the Model Y to be the best-selling car in the world this year by revenue and next year by actual unit volume, as it indeed appears to be on pace to achieve both these milestones. But the SUV market is naturally much larger than sedans, not only in the United States by a factor of at least 3 to 5 times, but also in other parts of the world and globally. So it makes sense that the Model Y should be selling much better than the Tesla Model 3. Nonetheless, the sedan market is still an enormous segment of the overall vehicle space, making Tesla's second best-selling vehicle with hundreds of thousands of units sold annually still extremely important to the company, and it continues to perform very well, if not better than expectations. And so curiously, Tesla seems to have plans to redesign the Model 3 even though it's currently working so well. And before I continue, stop using Yahoo Finance, stop using Google Finance, and have a look at our website, themarketisopen.com, where we have instant stock quotes and financial data going back 10 years, and it's all freely available. What's interesting is that consumers have not really been pushing for a Model 3 redesign, especially not in the same way that they were absolutely begging for a new version of the Model S and Model X not long ago. Model 3 doesn't suffer from an outdated design like the Model S did, a vehicle that hadn't seen much in the way of new features since its release in 2012. Tesla had changed the front nose of the vehicle, but beyond that, Model S and even Model X had stayed relatively the same for 9 and 7 years respectively, and this appeared to actually be affecting sales of those vehicles. Model S sales peaked in 2015 based on quarterly results and continued to decline over the years. Even combined, Model S and X never rose much beyond 100,000 units per year, which today represents just a small fraction of Tesla's overall sales. At one point, Elon Musk even considered discontinuing these vehicles. But instead, Tesla went forward and revamped these higher-end luxury cars with a new infotainment system, a powerful gaming processor, new sound system, the yoke steering wheel, and they invested in new technology specifically for the platform by developing components such as breakthrough carbon-wrapped plaid motors, which boosted the performance of these vehicles. While the production and delivery numbers of Model S and X literally went to zero while Tesla transitioned their manufacturing from the old version to the new, sales have since come back, nearing their all-time highs in terms of units. They also hold their place as lucrative vehicles for Tesla, commanding a premium price, and even though the look and body of the vehicle itself only saw minor, almost unnoticeable changes, consumers were highly pleased with the interior and performance changes to something new and fresh. In hindsight, this was an important decision for Tesla for a number of reasons. One of which is that these vehicles, on their own, before the Model 3 even came out, actually made the company profitable for an extremely short period of time. The only reason why Tesla continued to lose money over the years is because they didn't want to stop at the luxury market. They instead invested into the Model 3 production system, which propelled them to new levels. But it was really the Model S and X that enabled Tesla to do that, and that was part of Elon Musk's master plan to start with the luxury cars, which made possible the investment into the lower-cost models. Without the profits from Model S and Model X, Tesla would have nothing to invest. And today, now that the Model 3 and Model Y are profitable on their own, Tesla can technically take the money from these vehicles and continue with the plan and beyond by investing it into their next generation of cars. In a sense, this means that the money being generated from Model S and Model X today is purely adding to Tesla's profit as opposed to being spent, Another reason why Tesla, just in the last few years, has started to become enormously profitable, with cash flows continuing to rise. It should be noted that although the volume for the Model S and X is back to approaching 100,000 units per year, that will still generate over $10 billion of extremely high margin revenue for the company. Another important factor to consider as the result of the Model S and X refresh is that the new technology that Tesla invested in to revamp these vehicles helps more than just the Model S and X and can be spread throughout Tesla's other products. For instance, we just saw that the Tesla Semi will be using the carbon-wrapped plaid motors which were invented for the Model S and X. Without doubling down and investing in these vehicles, this may have hindered the semi-truck's capabilities, just as an example. Now, according to Reuters, Tesla is developing a revamped version of the Model 3 in a leaked project codenamed Project Highland. The goal of the project is reported to reduce the number of components and complexity in the interior of the Model 3, as well as incorporating features that are set to add value to Tesla customers, which include a revamped display and potentially changes in the exterior design and performance of the vehicle. Reuters cites that Tesla faces increased competition from companies such as BYD and Hyundai, and so these renewed changes will go into production in the third quarter of 2023. Now, typically, Tesla doesn't really have a model year for its vehicles, and it's not the greatest idea to let competitors know of upcoming changes almost a year in advance. As per Tesla's production system, changes tend to go in right away when they're ready. For instance, a small team at the company may be working on some feature improvement, say new windows for better soundproofing. So they start on a small subset of vehicles, adding in changes into the production system and slowly scaling it up to reach the entire production line. But while they're scaling it, some vehicles may have the changes and some may not. And Tesla makes hundreds, if not thousands of these changes throughout the year, such that a Model 3 produced at any time throughout the year may be slightly different from its siblings, and the final one of the year may include many little improvements over one produced at the beginning of the year. This makes it difficult for Tesla to add noticeable refreshes to its vehicles for its customers. But recently, there have been reports of camouflaged Model 3s that may hint at changes to the front and rear panels, which were covered up. What's interesting is that when Tesla upgraded the Model S, they did make some changes to the exterior to improve aerodynamics, but they were fairly unnoticeable to customers. If Tesla is doing the same thing here, they might be better off not drawing attention to their vehicles by camouflaging them, as it would likely not be noticeable to begin with unless it was examined carefully. So unless Tesla is trying to create anticipation or buzz for something, then putting these vehicles on the road is a strange move. Now may also not be the best time because people may hold back their orders to wait for refreshed versions of the vehicle, which isn't good at the end of the year, especially when Tesla is trying to close on as many orders as possible in an already difficult environment with new tax credits set to begin only in a few weeks in 2023. Furthermore, for Model S and X, Tesla basically had to completely stop and upgrade the production lines, bringing production to zero. So they may not want to or be able to do this for the Model 3 and will instead upgrade in phases to prevent production from going to zero for a massive part of Tesla's business. Now, more interesting is that back in November, Tesla reportedly sent 200 employees from its Giga Shanghai factory in China to Fremont, California to reportedly help boost production. Giga Shanghai has been absolutely crushing its production targets, delivering over 100,000 vehicles last month in November, which is calling for an insane run rate of 1.2 million vehicles per year out of China, almost as much as the entire company, including China, is expected to deliver this year. Now, Fremont is Tesla's oldest factory and could use a redesign of its own, and it would be very interesting to take the learnings from China and apply them in the US. We don't really see this in the world today, but that would be a huge advantage that Tesla has given its operations in Shanghai to take what they're good at in China, like replicating products, low-cost manufacturing of EVs, and their speed, and use that to bolster the US to make it even more competitive. Other than at Fremont, Model 3 is only produced in China, so the team there would be the best people to help out, and perhaps the news of employees from China coming to help is linked to the same news regarding the Model 3 factory revamp. The reports from Reuters do mention reducing parts and complexity, and so the Model 3 certainly does need a refresh on that front. If you consider that Tesla has removed various components, including the radar and 12 ultrasonic sensors from the vehicle, which no longer seem to be required, and have been replaced by more powerful software, the removal of these components leaves room for adding more efficiency to the vehicle or preparing for future upgrades. The empty space where the ultrasonic sensors resided, or the wiring that goes with them, is now simply empty space or unnecessary. Tesla also no longer needs the machinery in the factory or the production line for inserting these sensors into the vehicle. And so while Tesla is rethinking the design of the Model 3, they could also pull in some ideas from their other products like Model S and Model X, where Tesla removed the steering wheel stalks, again replacing their functionality with software. Another example is that the front face of the Model 3 has sort of a flat surface. Perhaps this was done to accompany the various sensors that were located there, and now that the sensors are gone, perhaps it can be made more aerodynamic, which could have a chain reaction effect to other parts of the vehicle. Maybe fewer batteries are needed given better efficiency, which further frees up weight and volume. So these extremely small changes could affect many parts of the vehicle. And so having the Model 3 teams from China and the US work together to learn from each other and upgrade the factory by combining two different perspectives of learnings over time could greatly improve on the design and cost of the vehicle itself. Tesla is always looking to remove unneeded parts, and this could be the opportunity or the real reason why Tesla may implement a larger set of changes, which could be more of a step change improvement in the cost structure of the Model 3. And while they're at it, they can throw in some of their modern technology to delight customers and continue to be feature competitive. And just as we saw with the Model S and X, for which the new refreshed models are actually better in every way and cheaper to manufacture, if they can replicate that success by upgrading the interior and internals of the Model 3 and at the same time reduce costs, they really don't need a complete body redesign to draw in more buyers. Model 3 is selling amazingly as is. There are also reports of increased competition which are overblown, especially coming off an insane record month of November in China. In the US, there are also the extremely lucrative tax credits which are coming in just a few weeks, and there are very few automakers that can take advantage of them like Tesla can. So if there's any so-called demand problem now, which the media has been talking about constantly for the last 10 years, Tesla will once again be production constrained going into 2023 as vehicles become significantly cheaper and therefore more affordable, as Tesla is in the early innings of its aim to move from 1.5 million units per year to 20 million units by 2030. If anything, right now, customers may be delaying purchases in anticipation of credits in the US, but Tesla has already started offering discounts to counter this thinking. If Tesla can further pull costs out of their vehicles and factories, coupled with the upcoming US tax credits, even if there's a global slowdown or recession, the competition will have some trouble keeping up. So do you think that Model 3 needs a visual refresh, or will Tesla's track record of making significant internal upgrades to get the cost down be enough to continue growing the size of the Model 3 market despite any macro headwinds? Be sure to check out my last video on the Tesla Semi. Please hit the like button and subscribe, we would really appreciate that. And a huge shout out to all of our patrons that help to support our channel. Your support helps us to continue to make great content. Thank you guys so much for watching.